Final episode. This is something that, whitetail hunting is near and dear to our hearts. We'll travel all over the country, all over the continent to hunt. But I always feel like, I don't know, it's hard to beat whitetail deer. It's like what we grew up doing. I love to go out of state. I love to hunt them in state. So we've covered a bunch of good things for helping people take their whitetail skills and transition it to a new place that they've never been. So we've touched on location and terrain and tags and gear and scouting and strategies and even staying positive, right? And in other episodes, we talked about meat care. If anybody wants to talk about or hear about like our take on how to handle meat in the field, we did a cool episode with Joe on elk hunting. It's elk meat. This is deer meat. Same basic principles. Get the meat cool. Whatever. Listen to the episode if you have questions about that. I want to skip ahead though and round this out with like a reflection. So now I want you to think about talking to the guy who just got done with his first time ever going, or gal, going out of state to hunt. When someone's coming out of their hunt, what should they be thinking about? Should they be reflecting on and thinking about so that when they go forward, they can be successful again?
I think it's very helpful in genuine not to think about whether or not you killed an animal or not. It's rather that you need to think about like how the trip went as a whole. Like what went bad, what went good, and like what can you do better next time? Yeah. Like really, in a nutshell, it's that. Like I didn't really kill anything, but because most of the time it's like you have a pretty cool story about the hunt that you just went on and all the crazy stuff that you did. But if you start telling people, I didn't get anything, then you're kind of tarnishing your whole trip. So think about all the good and the bad, the good yin and the yang, so to speak.
I would agree. I feel like people and I've talked about this before, when they think about hunting, they think about it in a very like narrow mind. Like it's like, I'm not successful because on this trip, I didn't shoot a deer. And instead of zooming out and being like, well, this is one trip in a lifetime of trips, right? And in my life, I'm trying to become generally a better hunter. And so this is helpful because in this trip, I learned this. And so you're not talking about it being a failure. You're talking about being like, what did you learn when you were out? What did you see? What did you experience? And like, it can be a whole week and all you learned is, I learned that sometimes you have to just sit in a stand a long time and not much happens, and that's just it. A couple of years ago, burned all my bear points and went on a bear point hunt in the UP. And I spent an entire week from noon till 8 sitting in a stand over bait, seeing nothing but chipmunks getting diabetes by eating all the bear bait, right? Didn't see a thing. Picked a bad outfitter, whatever. But what I learned is like, sometimes you don't see anything and you're just sitting still and that is it. Like that is a long, boring lesson to learn. But if you think of it bigger picture, I think hunting is more fulfilling. And at least for me, it's like, what am I learning? What am I growing? And like, how am I becoming a better woodsman or being better at this? Like just hunting in general. Quick shout out to another amazing sponsor of ours, Kifaru International. If you're like us and love hunting in some of the toughest places, you know how crucial having the right gear is. Kifaru makes some of the toughest, most reliable backpacks and tents out there, and it's all made right here in America. Whether you're hunting in the backcountry or headed to your favorite deer stand, Kifaru has you covered. Keep your eyes out this year, especially as they're launching a ton of amazing new products like the new Arc frame that just came out. So next time you gear up for an adventure, make sure to check out Kifaru International. We've talked about hunting out of state. Like, what advice do you have for people that are looking to do it? So, whether they're going for the first time or they're going again, what's like your one kind of advice for them?
Do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Like, you can, you just got to do it. Like,
get out there.
Yeah, you just got to do it.
Be ready to fail.
Yeah, be ready. Like, failure is the best teacher. Like, even if it's the most unsuccessful, unplanned thing, at least you've done it, and now you can say, okay, last time I didn't do this, and it would have helped out here, and now I know. So, like, having having more information on the area, or I don't know. That's a tough question. It's just actually it's pretty straightforward. Just go, plan it and go.
Plan it and go, and don't think about it too much. But reflect on what you see and learn. Okay, then what is success then? How do you find success? What does that mean?
Success in a deer hunt?
Yeah, how do you find it? How would you, like, when you come home, you're like, hey, Lori, this was a successful deer hunt because
you got to get out and go hunting.
Right. Okay. So you just say the success is just going.
Just going, like being able to go out of state, away from what you're used to, experiencing something new in one of your brightest passions.
Yeah.
Is a success.
Yeah. I love that. I think people get very hung up on shooting a deer.
And I'm guilty of that.
Same.
I will hang my head on hunts and be like, that sucked. It was the perfect night. And you have, like, multiple times throughout the past be like, dude, but, like, we got to go out hunting. And even, like, when we went to Alaska in that film, there's a line in there where you say, it's getting pretty miserable. It's coming down to the wire. We're on our last few days, but we're in Alaska hunting bears. This is kind of the coolest. On the coast of Alaska, this is pretty much the coolest thing we've done so far.
OnX is the title sponsor of our podcast here at the Fair Chase, and it's a must-have app for all of us who love to explore the outdoors. Whether you're hunting or hiking or fly fishing, OnX gives you detailed, accurate maps right at your fingertips. With property boundaries, topographical features, and trail data, you'll always know where you are and where you're headed. You'll also likely be able to figure out where that big buck is headed to. Plus, their offline maps mean you're covered even in the most remote locations. OnX is the ultimate tool for outdoor navigation, making every adventure safer and more enjoyable. Download OnX today and explore with confidence. And I think I find my own optimism in just that you learn. Like I find it to be successful. It's like, man, I'm a little bit better at this, or at least I know not to do this. I find immense satisfaction in just like the bigger picture. Like, am I becoming better at hunting generally, whether it be deer or bear or elk or whatever the thing is? Like, am I better out in the woods? And so to go on a deer hunt, I mean, first of all, like you said, the fact that you're just out, that's awesome. That could not be better. That's the thing you look forward to all year. That's why I kind of hate when people are like, oh, you see it in the rut a lot. People like flip on Instagram and they'll put on a story. It's like the grind. Like, the grind, man. The grind is people like trying to scrape to survive, like in the third world. Like, that's the grind. Like, you are trying to shoot a deer when you're not working and hanging out with your family or whatever this thing is. Like, it's not really a grind. You're doing something pretty cool. So yeah, no, I would agree. Like, you're out hunting. Like, that's about as good as it gets. So this episode is also brought to you by 2O Gear, innovators in technical hunting clothing. 2O is a newer company. It's based right here in Michigan, and whether you're hunting elk in the mountains or chasing antelope in the plains or traipsing through swamps after that ruddy buck, 2O has you covered with premium jackets and pants, merino wool layers, everything you could possibly need to stay comfortable in the woods. Their products are engineered for functionality and durability, ensuring you stay protected in any conditions. Plus, their camo is really effective. We're big fans. So don't take our word for it, though. Go to 2ogear.com and check it out. All right, so we're bringing this series to a close. We've covered a bunch of stuff. There's tons of stuff we haven't covered, and so for people listening or whatever, shoot us messages. We love to answer and help, and we love to see. We regularly will have people send us maps asking about where they should hunt and stuff like that. So that's fun to do. So any way we can help, we're happy to. But I want to end with this. We've talked about like tactics and how-tos and everything else, but like more basically, like when we're not far out from opening day here in Michigan. Like what are you looking forward to? What do you like about deer hunting?
I love it when the weather starts to get colder out and you start to feel that little bit of something start to ignite a little bit that you haven't felt in a year, and like you start getting in that hunting mode. Like when you're able to just turn it on and it's like, all right, I'm ready to go hunt right now. Like nothing else really matters. Like phone calls, texts, emails, whatever it is, whatever's on your mind up until that hunt, you can finally like settle in and be like, oh, let's go hunt. Like I want to get out into the woods. I want to go hunt deer. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to go like that. And just being out in the middle of nowhere, knowing that there's hardly anybody around. Like, I go back to this Manitou hunt we were in on that island. We're how many miles out in the middle of Lake Michigan, and I'm in the middle of the woods where there's nobody else there. Just having that feeling of being completely alone and you're hunting an animal.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to add to that. That's awesome. Hunting is awesome. Deer hunting is awesome. It's tradition and it's adventure and it's excitement and everything else, and food and buddies, and it's a ton of good things. So, well, this is going to conclude the series. I feel like we covered a lot of stuff. We left a lot of stuff yet to be talked about. So hopefully people write in with questions like they have been. Hopefully this is helpful. But again, if you have questions or you want to know more or anything about what we do, let us know and we'll get it going.